Welcome back to Straight Facts with Big Steve. Loads to jump into today. Big game at the weekend for Arsenal and Liverpool. The title race throws more excitement into that top four race. Into the title race. United playing Brentford tonight. We'll take a look at, and of course Chelsea's pursuit of a new manager. But Steve, how are you, my friend? How are you getting on?
Yeah, very good. Good weekend result for us. Bounced straight back after the international break. So, I'm happy.
I mean, it was a good result for you, though. I mean, you battered Liverpool, destroyed them to a point where, I mean, their fans haven't even recovered from it. They're still fuming at Pep Guardiola for celebrating. I mean, it was it almost felt like the end of any conversations that this was ever a Liverpool City era, and it's very much it was City's era. That's it.
Yeah, it was mad because I talked about it the other week about not panicking. We went one down. You didn't see any panic stations from us fans. Everyone just got behind the team. We knew what we're capable of. There was all this nonsense about, Haaland's not playing, so will Alvarez be able to do it? To be honest, I think Virgil and Konate would have probably rather played against Haaland. He's a big unit, physical, he's uptight against them. The last thing they need was Alvarez. He was like a wasp. He was buzzing around them. They didn't know whether they're coming or going. John Stones was in centre midfield playing like prime Iniesta. Riyad Mahrez, Ramadan Riyad, you know what he's like when he's hungry. He was on it. And then Jack Grealish, I've said it for a season and a bit now. You know, he's playing well every week. And he had him on strings, mate. He was dancing across that box like no problem. And listen, I think we went easy on him near the end. I think last 20 minutes we were all laying. So we were knocking it about. You know, Liverpool's not the team they was of last year. But they come to the Etihad of recent times and they always put up a good show. And when the first one went in, it would have been easy to slip into that, oh shit, Liverpool's here again. But we didn't let it faze us. We carried on doing what we needed to do. And without the big man, we got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool's decline is crazy. On you guys, yeah, scintillating, absolutely scintillating. I think that Alvarez he's a quality player. You just haven't seen enough of him this year because of how good Erling Haaland has been. And Jack Grealish, I'm calling him Jack Grealish this week because what I saw at the weekend is what I expect. Not every week from a £100 million player, because no one should be expected to score an assist in every game. But he did all the things that people like yourself have said that he does: create space for others, sticks out wide, really is a threat, progresses the ball. But he added the goals and the assists, and he added additional chances that he created in the game. And that, for me, is what I expected Jack Grealish to be at Manchester City, what we saw at the weekend. And he was out of this world. What he did to Trent Alexander-Arnold is borderline illegal. He made him give up. He made him absolutely give up in the game. And you guys were great. And I think, as you say, the pressure, you handled it perfectly. When I look at Liverpool, though, they really do feel like they're in crisis, Steve. Like a real crisis, because they're getting outclassed almost week in, week out. Yes, they embarrassed Man United, but they've scored one goal since and not one in 4 matches. They were fortuitous that Chelsea haven't got a player in their team that can score a goal, because if they allow Arsenal to have that many chances on Sunday, they're going to get battered at Anfield. Why do you think Liverpool have regressed so far?
I think losing Mane is a big problem for them. What he did, buying Darwin Núñez to come in, big price tag, a lot of money. Could the money been invested elsewhere when they had like Bobby Firmino there as well? Could they have gone in midfield? The midfield's awful. Fabinho's regressed. He looks like he's about 35-year-old now. He's nowhere near anything. He just fouls everybody. Henderson's full of energy and likes gobbing off a lot and running into referee's face and trying to get people sent off and all that shit. And the young kid Elliott, he's just, he's a young kid, but City dominated him. You said it in the day. They're a bit of a long ball team, Liverpool. You know what I mean? They do like that long ball, that stretching ball across, and it catches a lot of teams out. It caught us out. But when you get onto it and you really get in and about them and you don't go gung-ho at them, and don't let them get that long ball over the top. They don't really offer anything else. Last night's game, Chelsea-Liverpool, sent me to sleep. Do you know what I mean? I ended up going in the living room and watching Puss in Boots with my daughter because it was that shit. So, it is what it is. I'd rather watch a cat with boots and a sword. So that tells you everything about Liverpool.
Mate, it was a hard game to watch. It really was. And yeah, there's a long ball element. I do think Jurgen Klopp is massively to blame as well, though, because I understand that the fans defend him and say it's FSG. They haven't invested enough. And that would make sense if they were getting beat by City and beat by United and beat by Arsenal. And they have been this year, at times. They've won something. They've actually got quite a good record against the top 6 this year, to be fair. I think they're actually sitting top of that tree on 15 points, as it were. But it's more the problems outside of those big games. It's the problems when they're playing the smaller teams where they've dropped so many points. They've only got 13, 14 points away from home this year, which is a huge regression from where they normally are. They've got a very good home record, but everything about them looks off. And the amount of chances they concede due to their higher line is ridiculous. And they've got players out there like Trent, who's just being exposed as to being an absolutely bang average right back. World class at crossing the ball, world class at taking free kicks. And when the team was purring, when the team was firing on all cylinders, and his defensive attributes were being covered by other people, when the Genies and the Hendersons were there and or in their pomp, they were fine. Now there's some holes. They're being exposed. Now, you may not necessarily blame Klopp for that, but the fact that he doesn't know how to adjust his system to play and get results when he hasn't got the perfect squad, it's a massive flaw in his game, a massive flaw in his ability as a manager. Ten Hag spoke about this in his press conference yesterday and essentially said, we're not playing my style of football yet. There's a process to get in there, but we have to win in the meantime. So we have to play more pragmatically, because if we tried against certain teams to play possession-based football with the personnel we've got outside of some of the new signings, because we don't have the technical... I saw Culture Can do a video saying probably only Lisandro Martinez is on par with the majority of your players technically on the ball when you look at our squad versus yours. And he's right to a degree. Casemiro would have a good chance of getting into the team, but technical ability on the ball as passers, yours outweigh Manchester United's. But our manager realizes, well, to be able to compete and try and win trophies while we're developing, you got to adapt your game. And that, for me, is the issue with Jurgen Klopp. He doesn't want to adapt, and he leaves his team so wide open. It's unbelievable, Steve. It's almost embarrassing to watch a manager of his caliber not make adjustments to fix holes and problems in his team. It's crazy to me. It's crazy.
Yeah, he did look. There's certain players that don't look at it. I mean, Van Dijk, he thinks in his brain he's a Rolls Royce, but this season he's not been at it. That injury took a lot out of him. With City, that it's like they brought Rodri in a few years ago. Fernandinho was number one. They brought him in and the understanding that let him bed in because Fernandinho's getting to the age where we need to swap him. The season before last season, Fernandinho was number 2 and Rodri took over, started to play. Fernandinho sort of came in, bit part role, then we faded him out. They've still got James Milner running around, Henderson running around. They've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita. None of them players should be at Liverpool Football Club. When you get to Champions League finals and you're going for quads and all that shit, you need to freshen it up. They didn't have no backup plan. They got the young kid who's been coming in this season, Bakacic, whatever he's called, looks okay. But the fans are demanding Bellingham. We want Bellingham. We want Bellingham. That's fine, but Bellingham's not the answer to the problem. You can get Jude Bellingham for 130 million. That's probably the only signing you make. And then is he going to make you much better? He'll make you better, but it's the rest of the team that lets them down. I just think they're about 5 or 6 players off competing back for a title again. I believe that Jurgen's got to work wonders in that transfer market. I know there's a lot of free transfers knocking about in the summer. Maybe you get rid of some of the deadwood, bring some of the frees in. I don't know, but the Liverpool fans just seem to be quiet at the minute. I've dealt with Liverpool fans for the last 5 years. They're not quiet. This season, they've all gone. But, Jurgen, they built him up on a pedestal, so now it goes wrong. They're looking at him for answers, and he stood there at the side of the pitch. He ain't got no answers. Can't hear you, Terry.
Sorry, I was on mute. I coughed.
Wait a minute.
I was on mute. The thing is this. We all know Fergie's a better manager than him. But in the last 3 or 4 seasons that Fergie was managing Man United, he had an aging core, Rio and Scholes and Ryan Giggs. And we were not buying how we should have been for a club of our size in the market. The manager was covering it up with the no value in the market nonsense because there wasn't the cash at the time until the new TV deal money came through in 2014. United were struggling to keep up with the spending of Chelsea and Man City. But Fergie found a way of getting title-winning form out of the squad that he had. And we had a good squad, a very, very good squad. And yes, we had Van Persie, but he was a £20 million bargain buy. If you would have gone and bought a 21-year-old at Van Persie's level back then, we couldn't afford to. Why you landed players like Aguero over us? We just weren't prepared to pay that kind of money because the Glazers didn't freeze it up. But Fergie's ability as a manager enabled him to still win Premier League titles when we never replaced Ronaldo. We still haven't replaced Ronaldo now, and it's 2023. We never went out and bought.
We did place Aguero for 2 years, but we still won the league both seasons.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because you've got a manager that says, right, I can adjust and I can adapt. The way you got a couple of years ago, it was Gundogan scoring all the goals. The season after that, it was Bernardo Silva scoring loads of goals because you would adjust things and make changes. That is what legendary managers are able to do. And Jurgen Klopp is an echelon below that. He's quality. He's world class. But he's not that legendary status because he plays one way or the highway. It doesn't mean Pep and Fergie didn't make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But how long do Pep and Fergie continue to make mistakes? There's no way Pep would continue with a system that was being exposed in the way in which Liverpool's is. He'd make adjustments in personnel. He'd change shape. He'd change formation. He'd find a way that works to win, and he'd stick with it. And that's the biggest weakness they've got right now. Forget Henderson being too old and Milner being too old. It's their manager not adjusting. It's crazy to me that more
they had no answer. They had no answer. They went 1-0 up. They had no answer for John Stones in midfield. They couldn't understand how John Stones, you watch some of the play, John Stones was in the middle of them all. He was knocking it left, right. He was on the edge of their box playing 1-2s. Alvarez was in and around Konate and Van Dijk. They couldn't keep in control of him. He was dropping deep. He was dragging Van Dijk deep. And then when we broke and Mahrez broke down, De Bruyne scored, Van Dijk was miles away because he'd gone following Alvarez thinking, this is where the ball's coming. Alvarez ended up laying it out wide and stuff like that. And listen, I think Liverpool will bounce back. I do. But this is a very, very important time for Liverpool, for FSG and Jurgen Klopp. He cannot afford now to get any signings wrong, in my opinion. The money is tight there. It has to be spent wisely. If he drops a bollock on a 50, 60 million pound player and it doesn't work, then that's massive to them. They can't fall back on anybody else. And I think he's got to get it right. I believe Darwin Núñez has got to be trusted more next season. I think he's got to look, we're starting you. You're the main man up front. You've got to start relaxing in front of goal and stop snatching it and get involved. Because there's definitely a player in there. The chances he gets is not normal. If he was at City, I think the chances he gets, he'd put him away. But at Liverpool, he just seems to be snatching them all the time. Mo Salah needs to pull his finger out. I'm sorry. Been a great player, but this season he's not been at the races. He needs to pull it out. And then you've got young Gakpo that, he's got all the talent in the world, but he's saying, you've got to deliver now. There's nowhere to hide.
No, when you're at Liverpool, there is no place to hide. There's always got to be those high expectations, especially with what they've done. And, the so-called, as I said earlier, Pep Klopp era looks like it's coming to an end. They might bounce back next year. But for me, it's never been a Pep Klopp era. The fact that there are Liverpool fans online begging for you to win the league over Arsenal tells me you're not even proper rivals, because there's no way when Man United went through the Arsenal United era, the Arsenal Newcastle era, the United Chelsea era, the United City era, just towards the end of Fergie, there's no way we wanted our rivals to win the league. The people that we were our main competitors. These guys
there's never been a problem with City and Liverpool. Obviously, it's Man United and Liverpool has been the one. The amount of times over the years I've wanted Liverpool to beat Man United, it's been unbelievable. It's only recent times when we've been challenging for the title and you're fighting with Liverpool, a very, very good Liverpool, by the way, a relentless Liverpool, that the rivalry is born out of respect. It's not born out of hatred. There's no real hatred there. So I think the rivalry you've seen from Man City and Liverpool the last 5 years has been out of respect, because I respect Jurgen Klopp and his Liverpool team, and whether they say it or not, Jurgen Klopp and his Liverpool team respect Pep Guardiola and us. And I think without Pep Guardiola, and Manchester City, Liverpool don't get to them heights. But without Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool putting pressure on us, we don't get to them heights. So I don't think it's your traditional rivalry. I do think it's getting nasty now because of the coach smashing and little isolated incidents. I do think that's getting a bit mad. But, you know, it is what it is. As rivalries come, if Manchester City's not been involved in title races for 30 years, so it's not like we've said, oh, we're going up against Liverpool again like we did in the 60s or the 70s. It just never happened. So this is a new rivalry, but it's a respectful one at the minute. On the pitch, I think both teams respect each other, but, you know, it is what it is.
No, I get that. In terms of it took a new twist this weekend after this little incident we're going to play here when Pep Guardiola was celebrating and with Simicast there. A lot of the Liverpool fans very, very unhappy with what he did, stating it was over the top, it was disrespectful. A lot of Liverpool legends attacking Pep for this. Like, do you think Pep did much wrong? And if not, why are Liverpool fans so pressed about it?
To be honest, City's just scored as the subs are walking through his technical area. He shouldn't have done it. For me, it's a bit muggy. You know what I mean? You've just scored. Their players are walking through. Leave them alone. Celebrate with your son in the stand. Walk to the other side of your technical box. Celebrate whatever. If it happened to me and United had scored and my players were walking across Ten Hag's box and Ten Hag had done the same to our guys, you'd be fuming. So I do get it. If I was playing and I walked across the dugout and he tried to do that to me, I'd just tell him to fuck off. Simple as that. So listen, you know, I'll defend Pep Guardiola till the cows come home. But for me, yeah, it was a bit muggy, man. There's no need. I get the guy was there. You don't want an opinion off a sub. His team's just conceded a goal. He's not going to say, yeah, Pep, well done, what a goal. He's going to say, he's just going to do what he did. One of them blanked him, one shook his hand. It was a bit muggy. I think he just got caught up in the moment. He shouldn't have done it. And if it had happened to me, I'd have told him to sling it.
I get that. I kind of get why he did it. Like, you guys needed to win. I think you won emphatically. It probably was a little. It reminded me a little bit of it. Who was the player he had the spat with on the pitch? I want to say it was Redmond. Do you remember when the way he was talking to Redmond on the pitch?
He was telling him why he was playing that way because he's a good player, saying he should attack. He was defensive and like time wasting and that. And I think Redmond said, I'm told to play like that. So I think Pep gets like that. He's involved in it.
I agree. And I don't even think sometimes I don't think Pep means it disrespectfully either. I think he just gets caught in a moment. You reflect.
But if Klopp had done that to us, we'd have been fuming.
Oh, of course you would.
You've got to take your Man City glasses off, which I try and do, and say, yeah, Pep, it was a bit muggy. You know what I mean? Celebrating away from him. If they're coming across your technical box, it probably hurts them more if you're sliding on your knees and not saying out to him. You know what I mean? Because you're thinking, look at this bastard there sliding about and just go and get your head down in the dugout. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it anyway. I just think he was a bit muggy with it and he shouldn't have done it really.
No, I get that. The thing about it is this though. The problem is with football fans is that we don't ever self-police. So you've been very fair, I think, with the way you broke it down. Klopp has done a lot of things when he's celebrated. He hasn't done that. But he's done a lot of things that infuriate people. And the man run on the pitch during a goal celebration, which is, I believe, is a red card offence for a manager to come onto the football pitch in that scenario. I know sometimes they come on when there's a big fight to break things up, but there's a reason for that. That would wind a lot of people up. He did that in a Merseyside derby, and Liverpool fans love him for it. And the problem is with football fans is we condemn, everyone condemns. The media always condemns Bruno for diving, but majority were very quiet when it was Harry Kane. Most fans hate it when they concede a penalty through diving, but when they get one, they celebrate the goal irrespective. That is my issue with football fans. We're so one-track minded. I'll get a lot of heat this year online because I've called out a lot of lazy punditry towards Arsenal. And my reason for calling it out is because I've got an issue with it. We pay for punditry, essentially. You pay your TV, your subscriptions. And part of it is to listen to what the professionals have got to say because they have an insight to football that you don't get through just watching it. They have an insight internal. They've been there. And I don't like hearing people play down Man City because you've got a lot of money. That doesn't guarantee success. United are proof of that in the last decade. I don't like so I don't kind of like lazy punditry and I don't like hypocritical takes where you celebrate it when your team does it, but you cry about it in the other direction. For me, I never change my stance on these things. So I totally get where you're coming from. It made me laugh because I quite enjoy seeing Liverpool fans angry as a Man United fan. But you're right. If that happens tonight and Tony Frank does that as Brentford score a goal against United, I'll be fuming. So, yeah, absolutely spot on with that one there, my friend. Do you think it's right, though, keeping it on Klopp for a second, that a lot of Liverpool fans are now calling for his head? Do you think that's correct with the form they're in? Or do you think he's done so much for them, they should give him a bit more time to turn it around?
I can't see any genuine Liverpool fans wanting him to go. I think what he's done for Liverpool, he's like their talisman, isn't it? After what he's done the last few years, they've been close, man. They've been close to City, like real close, like heartbreakingly close. If he's not done bad from where they've been over the years. I don't think any true Liverpool supporter wants Jurgen Klopp to go. I can't see it where you're going to go from Jurgen. He deserves time to put it right. I think it's all right to blame the owners and that, but they've spent a few quid. He has been backed, but I just think he's let it slip a little bit. It's took his eye off the ball. The first team's always been his bread and butter, and it's looked top notch, but just underneath that underbelly of Liverpool, it's just not good enough at all. And I think he deserves a chance to put it right.
I think that's, for me, I don't want him to get sacked as a Man United fan, because I actually believe that he's come to the end of his time. I think that the squad and the players have become a little tired of what he's got to offer. I still think he's a world-class manager that elsewhere would do brilliant. I just think he might have come to the end of the road. If they sack him, for me, that's a negative, because I think they'll bring somebody else in and it'll revitalize a new manager. Say they brought Luis Enrique in today. Chelsea are probably going to get him. We'll come on to that next. I think you get very quickly Van Dijk and Trent as an example. Mo Salah. I think Fabinho. I think these individuals would get back to their best very, very quickly. Slight change of ideas. They say a change is as good as a rest. I think it would revitalize a lot of that squad. I think Klopp staying. I don't think it'll be as bad next year with reinforcements in the summer, but I don't see them competing for the title, which is essentially, if Liverpool Football Club are not competing for the title, it's a failure of a season. In my view, the same as you're at that level now as well, where you're not good enough to compete for the title. To a degree, what's the point? So, listen, I get he deserves a chance, though. I do get that.
We've got to be fair, right? If Pep had had this drop-off, the whole world, every man and his dog will be saying that he needs to be sacked just because they want him out of the league. They want him out of there. Because that's what it. You've got to be consistent. Last year they were going for a quad. There was documentaries being made about the greatest Liverpool team of all time. Yeah. This season, look at the state of it. So at the end of the day, they do deserve criticism and they do deserve a bit of stick. But Jurgen's got enough in the bank, credit-wise, with the Liverpool fans to, they'll take this season on the chin and they'll go again. But this is why I said it's so important in the summer that FSG get it right and he gets it right, because there's no room for error. It's not like he can, make these mistakes now. The team is looking patchy all over the park. There's people not pulling the weight. With City, we're in that position where we've got players. We've freshened up the strike force. We've got, Alvarez, young striker. Erling Haaland, best number 9 in the world, sorted. Defence, he's more quite fresh. You know what I mean? Ruben Diaz. I think Laporte might go. Bernardo might go, but we'll bring fresh legs in. I think we're going to freshen it up. So City only need 1 or 2 a season. It keeps the ball rolling. Liverpool have let it slip that much that they probably need 5, 6.
Could be the case. And I think that's the thing with keeping him that could be the problem. We know as a fact he doesn't have the ability to change his style and adapt to what he's got to yield results. He was like that when he first came in. Do you remember they would score them goals but concede loads and throw leads away? That's just his management style. So unless they can go out and get Caicedo and Jude Bellingham and some massively top quality, some massive players and some top quality in defense, I think they might struggle. But listen, if they're struggling, I'm more happy with them getting a new manager that's going to take them on to another level. So we will see. Viewers, do us a big favor, please, and hit the like button. Give that a smash right now. Ensure you're subscribing and got the bell notification button turned on to the channel. Also, I want to speak about new managers in Chelsea, because you've obviously seen the news today, Steve, that Luis Enrique is in London. He's talking to Chelsea today. He is now marked down by the bookmakers as the favourite to take over. He's overtaken Julian Nagelsmann. But Luis Enrique to Chelsea, how good of a appointment do you think that will be?
It's hard to. You just don't know. It's a big gamble for me. Enrique was getting spoke about City and that if Pep went, because he has the similar style of football. But you've got to have them players to play that style of football. And if you look at the Chelsea squad now, it seems a bit of a mismatch of every style in the world. So God help the guy that's got to go in there and unravel all that shit. Because for me, I watched them last night. Do you know last night I needed Felix for one shot on target, for 3,000 quid. One shot on target. Yeah, that's all I'm waiting on with half an hour to go. Felix, I had Darwin Núñez one shot on target. Felix one shot on target. I had Matip to be booked, Fabinho to be booked, someone else to be booked. It's coming in for $3,000. One shot, yeah? That Felix couldn't hit a barn door. He got one on the edge of the box. He took it down and I thought, this is it. P-roller to the keeper, $3,000, Big Steve's happy. Fucking skied it. And then he took him off. So I couldn't even cash out. So I looked at the Chelsea team. You got Raheem Sterling on the bench. Yeah? You can't get in that team with that squad, with them players. That Mudryk, where does that come from with him? Because he doesn't look anything like what we were told he was going to be. They've got Koulibaly still knocking about at the back there. Do you know, Fernandes is a bit of a player. I like him. But, nah, man, that's a mess there. And, they brought in Potter. He came in. What do you expect him to do? The chairman's buying players left, right and centre, superstars, young kids. He's just like, he's championship manager. He's going for it. And then he don't get time to do his shit. He needed a pre-season at least. So unless Luis Enrique's got some contract where he's got to have the time, he's got to have so many windows to get his job done. Because one thing Enrique's going to need is time. To implement his style of football on a Chelsea team like that, is time. There's probably 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 players they don't want. He's going to have to get rid of them. Then he's going to have to bring his own men in. I just fear for Chelsea at the minute. I just think they're in a transitional period, which didn't have to be as hard a transitional period as they're making it to be. I do believe they had quality players, and I think they've made it worse by just adding players with no sort of dynamic to it. And, Aubameyang and all them boys knocking about, what's happening with them? You know what I mean? Raheem Sterling, is he really going to play? It's just...
35-man squad is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. They've got lots of good players though. There were moments last night with N'Golo Kante back in the middle, him, Kovacic, and Enzo. In terms of an engine room and a foundation for the team, I thought that was really good. Their biggest problem is they can work the ball into the right areas. They just can't score, mate. I put a tweet out. The kids didn't get it. It shows how long people have been watching the Premier League. I just tweeted and said that if Chelsea fell into a barrel full of boobs, they'd come out sucking their thumbs. And a lot of people I don't get the analogy. It's a weird analogy. I'm like, no, I said, if you've got the fact they don't understand that analogy proves they're nerds and virgins, in my opinion. But there we go. That's another conversation for another day, right? And it also proves they weren't watching the Premier League 10 years ago when the manager, when Ian Holloway said it, well, maybe about 13 years ago. It shows how young they are. But that's their biggest issue. I get where you're coming from, that if there's Luis Enrique, I think, could be really successful there. He's the best of all the managers they're looking at. He's better than Nagelsmann. He's better than Poch. I mean, they're talking about Poch could go there. I mean, Poch for me is an absolute bottle job. Brendan Rodgers' name's been mentioned by media people. No way. He's Tottenham bound, in my opinion. And they're a perfect match for each other. But
I've got some good friends, Chelsea fans, who go week in, week out, right? And I spoke to one this morning. And he just seems so disheartened with everything, and he just doesn't know what direction the club's going in. He don't know where. He said, you look at the players we've got. He said, write the players down we've got. It's an unbelievable team from top to bottom. Unbelievable squad of players. Can't get a tune out of them. So whether Enrique's got that respect that Potter didn't have, I don't believe Potter was the right man, because I think when you're managing that many superstars and egos, you have to have a man who demands respect. And I don't think what Graham Potter did at Brighton earned him enough respect. They were calling him Harry Potter and fucking Hogwarts Express and all that shit I heard in the paper today. You know, you can't do that with certain managers. And I think Enrique, what he's done in the game in a short space of time, he might demand a bit more respect from the Chelsea players. But it is a shit show over there, man.
Mate, it is. It's a circus right now, and all the Hogwarts stuff's come out. There's all the board have been helping to pick the squad, and essentially Graham Potter was a yes man. And this is where it can go. This is where it will go wrong for Luis Enrique or Nagelsmann, is if they come in and they're forced into, or they agree to be yes men as well. If Todd Bowley is essentially half picking these teams, telling the managers who they can and can't play, their club's on the road to ruin. You'll fall apart. How do I know this? That's to a degree Glazer-esque. We were, our managers, Jose Mourinho was being told who he could and couldn't sell, who he could and couldn't buy. And when you get into that realm, when you're told this is who you're buying or this is who you're selling, no matter what a player does behaviorally, you can't get rid of them. When you haven't got that control as a manager, no player's going to listen to you. No players are going to feel that pressure. And that's got to be fixed. If they fix that and Luis Enrique gets anonymity, he can drop and bench and play who he wants without reciprocity. Of course, if he gets the right results, he'll be a very good manager for them because they have a core group. But the summer, as much as they need a class number 9, as much as I think they need to still maybe look at bolstering the defense, what they've got, the most important thing is to get rid of about 10 to 12 players. They've got to get rid of about 10 to 12 of that squad that are just not wanted, because imagine trying to manage the egos of 35 footballers. It's hard enough doing it with 23, but suddenly you've got 10 to 15 that are nowhere near the matchday squad. They're just sitting there, and as much as they're being paid, there's no way they were told they were going to be on the fringes, and half of them signed within the last season. It's crazy.
It's vibes, though, isn't it? You've got teams. You've got some lads playing last night. You got a Banyaman, whatever he's called, on the bleeding Twitch playing on games Fortnite while his team's playing. People don't care, man. It's like I say, in the harmony around the club, the training ground, it can't be good and healthy when you've got that divide. It's not like everyone's pulling in the same direction. You've got a smaller squad, but you're rotating it nice, and people are getting the odd minutes here and there, and everyone's happy. It's literally like, if you're not in, you're not even playing, not even in any sort of game. You just literally sat on your ass. And at the end of the day, that's why from the outside looking in, for me, I just believe it's a shit show there, and I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon. I mean, I know they're in the Champions League and all that, but that might be a little breath of fresh air for them, you know, taken away from the league form, one-off games. You never know. But I just think this season's been mad and what's gone on with him. But I don't know where to go from here. If Enrique comes in, God help him, you know what I mean? I think he's got a really tough job on his hands.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see. As I said, the bookmakers are now saying that he's favourite. We know Nagelsmann's being looked at, but now PSG are getting rid of their manager, so they're looking at Julian Nagelsmann. Who do you think is going to come in at Spurs?
That's another job, isn't it? Who wants it? No disrespect. Who the fuck wants to go to Tottenham? What about Tottenham is there? It's just weird setup, innit? You know, it's always been the same. You know, look at Toby. I told you on the Big Six, Toby's not changed in the last 5 years. Still got his dressing gown on, still drinking pina coladas, and still goes to the Blue Oyster Bar at weekends. It's not, things ain't good for him over there. The Expressions won't even go to the game anymore. So he's fucking fell out of love with it. I think it's Pochettino's got to go back there. I think he knows the club. They know him. They had a really good little spell under him. They didn't win anything. They got to the Champions League final by fluke. And they love it about him, didn't it? But at least it's not the Costa del Sol Trophy 1986. So get him back. You know what I mean? I thought I was lying about that trophy, didn't you?
When you told me that, I couldn't believe what I was reading. I can't believe they actually have other titles, and they have like pre-season friendly titles. You know what I mean? Miss Isle of Man wet t-shirt competition titles and shit like that. It's crazy. Butlins Express, whatever it may be. Pontins 1992. It's crazy to read. But yeah,
people in the chat, don't forget where you come from, Steve. All right, then. So I won't say anything bad about anyone because we used to play Gillingham in 99. Is that what you want me to do? I'm telling you the truth, yeah? Tottenham is shit. Everything about the club's shit. They've got the best stadium in the world, the biggest hot dogs in the world, the go-kart track in the world. They've got the longest bar in the world. They've got the greenest grass in the world, and they've got the Costa del Sol Trophy since 1982. What else do you want me to say about Tottenham? There's nothing else for me to say about Tottenham than that. And the fourth, fair play.
It's the thing is, it's true. It's true. Like, you're not. This is the thing with football fans and banter. You're not like someone that used to be really poor, who's now wealthy, and you're like digging out poor people. You're talking about a billionaire-owned football club. There's no like punching down in this. Like, it's football, for fuck's sake. Like, it's crazy. I don't think people realize as well, Steve. The only reason anybody gives Spurs crap is because they chat too much. In my opinion, they chat too much. And I gave the example the other day. I don't believe in mindless violence. But if you're a 5'4" bloke and you walk up to a 6'4" bloke, get in his face and keep pushing and prodding him with a stick and trying to fight him, at some point he's going to knock you out. And with the weight and size difference, you're going to be laying on that floor snoring. And that is what happens to Tottenham every single year. They speak up, they give it Billy Big Balls on a football in front, and they always come out second best. They always end up the bridesmaids. So it isn't punching down. It's basically flicking annoying flyaway is what it comes down to. But yeah,
I think the fans. I don't. If Vincent Kompany is even thinking about taking that job, he's deluded, and I don't think Vincent's deluded. I think he's got a brain, so he ain't going to go near it. I believe that Pop wants it, and I believe that Spurs fans want him. I think it's a match made in heaven. They can all get together again. They can put on the DVD of the Ajax away in the Champions League when they got through. They can watch that, Llorente handball against City, and then they can watch themselves get beat in the final and bring back the good old memories and that together and just carry on doing what Spurs do, win now.
They're like a rom-com. Like in the rom-coms, they start off as a happy couple and they break up. And then you see like loads of they go through their life apart, and then right near the end, they fall back in love again. That's what Potts returning is going to be like. Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts bullshit. Like, it's just like they were happy, they broke up, they've both gone through a torrid time in the last few years, and they're going to end up back together, sailing off into mediocrity. I love it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, my friend. DVDs out, doing their thing. Oh, mate, it would be class. I want him to go back because he's such a bottle job. But that's also why I want Brendan Rodgers to go there. Brendan Rodgers is a match made in heaven for Tottenham. Legit.
Yeah.
Because he'll play beautiful football, but he'll never make them good enough to put the pressure upon them to win the trophies. And I know for a fact that 99.9% of Tottenham fans, that's what they really want. You've got, I don't know Tobes too well, but he gives me the impression with what I've watched, he wants to win. Expressions wants to win. We've got all of our Spurs guys that come on our shows regularly, they want to win. Outside of that, they are just happy to be fifth place and play pretty football. And that is Brendan Rodgers. He is a match made in heaven for them. No expectations.
They've been humble. When Areta was still doing his thing at Arsenal, and they were low down 8th, 9th in the league and that. Tottenham, because they got Antonio, they were that gassed. They were slagging Arsenal to death. On the Big Six show, they were giving him loads of shit. And Toby was so cocky and so like, yes, Antonio, and all that. But the thing is, as soon as it goes Pete Tong, Tony slides back in his dressing gown, and the Tottenham fans get all scared again, and they pretend they never said anything bad about Arteta, because at the time, a lot of the Arsenal fans was getting a bit obsessed with Spurs, going, look, how can they have a manager like Conte and we've got Arteta? But it's flipped 360 on them. And there's no Arsenal fan in the world that's going to even want Antonio Conte anywhere near their club now. But I think it's a Spurs problem. I don't think it's a manager problem. I think Pep Guardiola would struggle getting a tune out of Spurs. I think the whole place stinks. I think the chairman stinks. I think everything about the gaff stinks of shit. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? That's my opinion on Spurs, and it won't change.
Stinks of shit. Oh, my days.
But let me just say to the Tottenham fans that are going to give me shit, you always beat us, so you get your revenge every year. It might sound you beat us, so it is what it is. I'm used to it.
Oh, mate, but everything you said about them is true. It really, really is. They are poor, and I do believe if Pep went there, he would foul, because at the end of the day, they wouldn't give Pep the control that he needs to win, and that's the problem at Tottenham. They never let a manager see through his job. And that's why, like, if Potts goes back, that's like getting back into an abusive relationship. They're going to do it to you again. They're going to promise you the world, and they're not going to deliver it in the end. But I want to see it happen, because when he goes back, trust me, a lot of Spurs fans say we don't want him back. We don't want him back. If he goes back, legitimately, if Pochettino goes back to Tottenham, 99.9% of Spurs fans are going to have a Mardi Gras. They're going to have a party. They're going to be absolutely...
Vuvuzelas they get. When they beat City first game of the season, I came out on Tottenham High Road and they had vuvuzelas on the street. They beat City in the first game of the season. Vuvuzelas, trust me. Every pub had a DJ rocking the tunes. The same black and white pictures of Tottenham holding trophies was on the walls. Expression was banging my phone off the hook, sending me voice notes. Toby was drinking pina coladas till he couldn't drink no more. And then end of the season, same old thing. City win the Premier League, lifting trophies. Can't get hold of anyone on the phone then. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Oh, mate, it's crazy. Viewers, who do you think is going to take over? Poch or Brendan Rodgers seem to be the two most likely, but we will see what ends up happening. Spurs have been cooked, and that weren't even on the agenda today. Oh, Steve, you're going to have people in your DMs now. They're going to be in your DMs now.
No, I've got good mates at Tottenham. I go every year. I get looked after at Tottenham, but, you know, Tottenham always do us, don't they? Until it mattered. We played them in the final. We beat them. They sacked Jose the week before the final, which is the most Tottenham thing you can do. Jose Mourinho in a one-off final to win a cup. You're leaving him in charge, aren't you, for that one-off final? They sacked him. And I'm like, it's just mad. The Tottenham fans know the score, man, but, yeah, nah, it's not for me, that. I don't care who they get, but it's God help whoever takes that job.
I get you, bro. I get you. This weekend, though, is a big... Obviously, yourselves have got a game first, but Arsenal take on Liverpool. How do you see that one going? Like, legitimately, because Arsenal just looked again at the weekend almost flawless. Their confidence is high. And Liverpool right now are shit. They're absolutely...
You've hit the nail on the head, because every Arsenal fan was expecting Liverpool to get something at the Etihad. They all said, this is the one, Liverpool, tough game for City. We jumped the hurdle, great. Every Manchester City fan is expecting Liverpool to get something at Anfield against Arsenal. It's Liverpool at Anfield are different. They're a little bit different. We know that. We're just hoping that Liverpool turns up. But looking at the last two games, looking at the way Arsenal are playing, Arsenal never have a better chance of beating Liverpool than they have at weekend. I hope and pray they don't. I'm in a title race with Arsenal. Obviously, I want Man City to win it. I need Arsenal to drop points. I wouldn't even like to call it. I think Liverpool have got to have a reaction. The fans demand it. They've had 2 away games. They've stunk the joint out. They're going to Anfield against the top of the league. It's perfect Anfield time. The crowd's going to be up. And that one thing about the Anfield crowd is, I've come to Anfield, Man City have been on razor sharp form. Never in a million years did I think we get beat. They've absolutely tore the arse off us, because that crowd is different there. There's a reason why Mikel Arteta had speakers on the training ground playing You'll Never Walk Alone. Yeah. So that tells you everything he thinks about Anfield. So I'm hoping the Anfield magic kicks in, and I hope Arsenal have a bump in the road and let us back in the title race. But I believe if Arsenal win there, unbelievable result for them. And I think that sends them into the stratosphere then. I think it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I listen, that Liverpool's crowd's a weird one. As United fans will always say, the Anfield atmosphere is a myth. From the point of view of when it's hot, it's red hot, white hot almost. And some of those European nights under the lights, whenever Man United go there, when you guys have gone there in recent years, it's on fire. But there's lots of weeks where it just isn't like that. And it's almost a case of, it almost gets overplayed. Like it gets overplayed by the media. Like it's almost like that in every game when it isn't. If they're up for it this weekend in that way and their players respond, they can definitely beat Arsenal. I don't think anybody would deny that. It's beyond doable. However, this Arsenal team I feel like they're just almost invincible right now. After you beat them, they dropped points to Brentford, and they lost to Everton before that. Those comebacks and everything else, they've kind of come through that period, their last 3 games. And I know that Fulham and Palace and Leeds are not better than Liverpool, although those teams have taken points off of Liverpool this year. But they've just brushed them aside with absolute ease. And I almost feel this could be a signature victory in the season for Arsenal if they're able to win it. If they're able to pull this off and win this game, Arsenal, I think the confidence and the sort of the galvanization of their mentality to another level to go, right, that's one of our hoodoo grounds, a place we haven't won at for 11 years. we're in a title race. I think that could be almost
Massive.
the straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of yourselves being able to catch them, because there's no games after that are as hard, barring going to you. But I think they'll feel confident they're going to go into that with an insurance policy of having a points gap over you. And I think it will give them more belief in beating you, because you'll need to beat them, because you'll have to catch the points. You're going to go for it. And they've already beaten a team away from home that they never beat. Doesn't mean they'll beat you either. That's another conversation for another day. But it's such a big game for the title race, for Liverpool's season. And I honestly hope, just as a Man United fan, I hope that Arsenal, I want Arsenal to win the league, because I don't want you, man, doing a three-peat. And I definitely don't want you to do he who must not be named and do the treble this year. Like, I need Arsenal to stop you from doing that. But equally, I want Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool's season finished. I want it ended. I want them to be absolutely and fundamentally embarrassed by their campaign. And I think Arsenal can be that final nail in the coffin on Sunday. They can bury them after cremating them. And I also hope to see, and I've said this a few times this week, I hope to see a public circumcision of Martinelli versus Trent on that right-hand side, because the man that reinvented the right-back role is having the worst season I've ever seen from a top right-back in the Premier League. And I want him to get cooked up this weekend by Arsenal. I'm desperate for it. I am desperate for it. I can't wait. I've said all that now, though, and Liverpool might win 3-0.
I hope so.
I bet you do. It's a weird one. It's such a hard one to call, as you say, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like I say, they're going in. They're in such good form. They're on top of the league for a reason, because they deserve it. They've got a great young squad, full of energy. Exactly what Liverpool don't need right now. Gabriel Jesus up against them two. They don't need it. They do not need it, let me tell you. And Arsenal just got to hold the nerve. They've got to ride the luck, and they've got to be brave to get the result. If they don't, we'll probably be driving back when they kick off. So I'll listen to it on the radio. But this is what it's about. Business end of the season. We said it. Big weekend of football. Arsenal at Liverpool, Man City at Southampton. Bear in mind, we've had some bad results at Southampton over the last few years as well. So that's not a walk in the park. And it could look different by Sunday night, or it could be looking peak.
Yeah, it could be very, very interesting. And Gunnar Duke here says, I still don't think you can underestimate Paul at Anfield, even in a poor season. Boys need to be focused and switched on. That's spot on. Again, as much as I want Arsenal to do it, and I believe they can, this is not an easy game. And I said this to Man United fans in the build-up to us going there. There was too much complacency from our fans, and I truly believe that fans' behaviour seeps into dressing rooms, because all the players are on social media. They're all reading. They all see what's going on. And Arsenal need to be almost putting vicious pressure upon their squad this week to ensure that they're not going into this game thinking it's already won, thinking it's going to be easy, because you do that against Liverpool and they can slap you still, because like I said earlier, there's still top quality players in this Liverpool team. Klopp just doesn't get it out of them enough. But a game like this at the weekend, it could bring it out of them organically, if that makes sense. It really could. We have a super chat that says, Terry, if Arsenal lose at Anfield, should Areta be condemned if he loses the league against this weak Liverpool?
No, Liverpool at Anfield are different. I've told you that. I've seen it myself. It's a place where mad shit can happen, where you think, we're on it here, and then bang, 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 2 minutes, madness, game over.
Mate, I totally agree. What do you make of the Liverpool fans this week? You must have seen the clips kind of calling Arsenal's season a fluke season. Did you see Ian Doyle's article where he spoke about how Arsenal are only top this year because everybody's taking it easy against them?
Listen, when you're top, you've got to put up with this shit. I've had it for the last 5 years, from press, YouTubers who you haven't got a fucking clue who they are, people talk nonsense, because you're top of the league and everyone wants to be top of the league and everyone's envious and jealous. So at the end of the day, Arsenal deserve to be top of the league because they're the best team in England right now. At the end of the day, the points total doesn't lie. They're playing the best football. They're not fluking games and bundling it over the line 1-0 and hitting off people's asses and flying in and all that. None of that. They're literally doing what they're doing. And it's absolutely come at a mad shock to everyone. So I get why some of the bigger teams are a bit flustered by it and a bit like, oh, well, because they fell off this, that and the other. No. Has there been a drop-off in other teams? Yeah, of course there has. But the points don't lie. They've gone to these places under pressure. People said, oh, they're going to lose here. They haven't. They're going to slip up after the World Cup. They didn't. Oh, Jesus is out. They're going to lose points. They didn't. So listen, Arsenal are doing their thing. They're top of the league. We're doing our thing. We're second. And come May, end of May, we'll see who the best team really is.
Yeah, mate, I agree. And listen, a lot of people will... I mean, I'll get a lot of shit if Arsenal don't win it because I predicted them to. Predictions are predictions, but then there's bad punditry. I said earlier, the way Gary Neville's kind of played Arsenal down annoys me. And I love Gary Neville. He's a legend of my football club. There's so much about him as a person, what he does societal-wise. Doesn't always get things right the way he tweets things, but he's done a lot of good in Manchester, in terms of things that he's done. And he's a really good guy, generally speaking. But I don't know. YouTubers can be YouTubers, TikTokers can be TikTokers, but I want pundits to be integral. And sometimes their agendas, I think his agenda against Arsenal has run a little too deep. It's only a few weeks ago he was saying they're conceding too many goals when they hit the last 10. When they hit the sort of the last 10 to 12 games, they're going to struggle. They hit the last 10 to 12 games and been flawless. Now he said, but those last 6 games are even harder. It's like he continues to move the goalposts around what he said rather than just saying, do you know what? I didn't think Arsenal would still be here at this stage. Fair play to them. And I don't like that kind of thing. I don't like how Arsenal being played down, especially by the same people that
The best way to kill it for an Arsenal fan is this. At the end of the season, when match of the day goes off on the Saturday night for the last time, if it's got a picture of Arsenal lifting the Premier League trophy with red and white ribbons on, it kills everybody else's argument stone dead because that is on there for another fucking year. Yeah. So I think to myself, anyone chats shit, just say, match of the day, fast forward it to the end, yeah, and see who's lifting the trophy at the end. And at the end of the day, Arsenal, what they're doing is brilliant. Nobody expected it. Nobody, even their own fans didn't expect it. And everyone thought they were going to tail off, and you've got to give them massive credit. And I'm giving them credit for being ahead of us. And we've not had the best season. We had a bit of a dip, but we're having a good spell now. And like you say, they've got it all to do. We're on the tails. And ignore the media, ignore the pundits. Like you say, they're changing their mind. Even Wayne Rooney said something about Man City was going to catch him. Then the other day he said he can't see anyone catching him. So they're all a bit mad in it. And then these misquotes. But Arsenal fans have got to concentrate on Arsenal. And City fans are concentrating on City. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying there, mate. Man United play tonight against Brentford. Terrible run at the moment in the league, being dragged back into the top 4 race. Do you see United turning it round, or could this be kind of a blip that they just can't get over now for the remainder of the season?
Listen, it's just, they played some good football this season. If they finish this season now, as United had a good season, they've got a trophy, and they're thereabouts on the top 4. I think United fans would take that. The United fans just need to just relax. They got too gassed, and they got a bit of a humbling against Liverpool, and then Newcastle done them the other day and that. So they're still in the FA Cup, still in the Europa League. So the season's not over for Man United. They've just got to regroup and bounce back. Still a lot of new players in the Premier League there for them. Anthony and that, still finding the feet. I don't think he's good enough myself. But, Ten Hag's a massive improvement on what you've had over the last few years. He's a guy that finally gets Man United as a club. He gets the direction you want to go in, and he's not a yes man. He's got his own opinions, and he's doing it his way. So, a bit early for the title for me. Top 4 and a trophy. Man United, it's been a good season.
Mate, I completely agree. I was in a space the other day, and they were trying to play it down, talking about how we're only 3 points ahead of last season's team. And I'm not someone that points totals are important, but they're only an indicator of improvement. We've gone deep into all the cup competitions. If we'd have gone out in the first rounds of everything, and gone out in the group stages of the Europa League, I think we'd probably have, I would guess, we might have anywhere between sort of 6 to 12 more points in the league now because we'd have played a lot less games. We've played more games than anybody else. That plays a factor. We're fighting in 2 trophies to win it, and we're still highly likely, in my opinion, to get a top 4 position. We're in a bit of a slump right now, and I think some media outlets have jumped on it with it again, like a bitching heat. Far too much attention being played to it, far too much emotion, far too much bitterness, because nobody predicted us to be where we are, and we're overachieving based on that. And the manager is, as you say, he's not a yes man. He's a proper manager. He's getting a tune out this team. the man had to sign Weghorst. He didn't want Weghorst, as in he was his choice, but it was a case of like, there's these 3 bang average strikers. Which one do you want? And he had to pick one. And he still managed to get a tune out of the team and won our first trophy.
He picked the man he could trust, the man he knew, the Dutch guy. He picked you're going to do that. Yeah. If you know he's never going to let you down, he's never going to turn up late for training, he's never going to get on the piss, he's always going to be there week in, week out, putting a shift in, 100%. He chose him, and you can't blame him for that. The money wasn't there to go and buy anyone. There wasn't a lot in the market in January. He needed something different. You know, he can't rely on Martial. You know, Greenwood's obviously out of the question. Rashford's the main man. You know, so he thought, you know what, I'm going to get him. And, you know, it's the way that some United fans gassed him. Weghorst is this, Weghorst is that. No. We all knew what Weghorst is, yeah? We knew what Weghorst is, and we know what he's about. Don't be trying to tell us he's some absolutely outstanding pressing merchant, because he's fucking not. He's a big lump. He puts himself about a bit. You know, he's not going to get you many goals, but he's going to rough a few defenders up, bring people into play, and do a job. And for my opinion, that's what he's done. Are you going to sign him permanently? No. Is he going to be at fucking Bakishespor in Istanbul or somewhere next season? 1,000,000%. But at the end of the day, does a job, got a trophy in the bag, and like I say, it is what it is.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. And the thing is, I can take the pundits and what they're saying about Man United to a degree. It's the Man United fans that are twerking for rivals again for no reason, for absolutely no reason. Today, I saw them fuming because the manager praised Weghorst in a press conference. It's a case of, well, he needs Weghorst. And he needs Weghorst because Martial can't stay fit. He needs him. Why is he going to start slagging him off in the public? Then I said that. I got sent people like articles where he called out Ronaldo. And I said, okay, Ronaldo was being called out because of his behavior and attitude, not his lack of goals. And there's a fundamental difference between those two things. But some Man United fans, honestly, I've thought about this a lot in the last few days. They're bang average content creators, half these guys, or they're wannabe content creators who realize the only way they can get attention is by attacking their own football club. That's it. There's no matter if it's a praising video.
Yeah, these same guys,
they're crazy.
Same guys were trying to tell us that Igalo, remember Igalo? That Igalo was a fucking world-class striker. Now everybody knows that Igalo played for Watford or whatever, and he was shit. But when he signs for Man United, oh yeah, he's been a Man United fan since he's a kid, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Anyone with half a footballing brain realised that it's not. He should have been nowhere near Man United football.
These guys, yeah, some of the opinions that some Man United fans just go far too far with it, and they frustrate me. Someone here says, Terry talks about twerking, but man's been twerking all season. I will praise rivals when they're very good, but what I won't do is over-index and lie about my own club and pretend to be more angry than I really am, or ignore the facts that the reason we ended up with Weghorst is because the Glazers have run us to a point where we're £1 billion in debt and there is no money left. Ignoring that fact and acting like Weghorst is the number one desire of our manager just to make rival fans laugh at us is weird to me. I also, by the way, if you generally have a gripe with your football club and you call it out, I've got no issues with that. That's not twerking. That's you being honest. But Man United fans are being what I call low digital IQ, aka TikTokers. They're taking the piss and they're doing it to rivals. And they're the ones who are winding me up because you're almost giving fuel to the fire. Man United have had a very good season for the first year under Ten Hag. And on tonight's game, well, I think we'll win tonight. We've got a fantastic home record. I think we're 2 games behind everybody else in and around the top 4 at the moment in terms of amount of home games played. We win them both this week against Everton and Brentford. Only Arsenal by 2 points will have a better home record than us this year. That's why the over-indexing that we're going to fall away, the season's over, that's happening. And by next week, Casemiro and Eriksen are back, and that will change the way we play football again. And the only real hard game remaining after that, the real tough 2 real tough games, Brighton away, Spurs away. Outside of that, I'm comfortable. We'll pick up between now and the end of the season 20 to 23 points. We'll make the top 4. It'll be a big improvement on last year, and we may win another trophy. I'm not too keen on getting you in the final. I'm focusing on Brighton first of all. If we get past them, we'll probably come up against you. I don't like that because our away form or neutral form against the big teams isn't particularly good. But there's too much right in the way Man United are being written off with such ease at the moment is ridiculous. But I think we'll beat Brentford tonight. I don't think it'll be comfortable. I think it'll be a hard game. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win tonight. I think we can do it. Get ourselves back on track. Everton at the weekend. I know they're fighting relegation, but I'm not worried about them. I'm really not that worried about them. They're not a very good team away from home. Brentford, I think they've only lost one game in 16, though. So that's a very hard game tonight. But I think we can get through it, get a bit of confidence back in the team and move on from there.
No, listen, Brentford are a good side.
Yep.
They beat us this season at the Etihad, done a number on us. We went 2 gung-ho, caught us out twice, bang, game over. You just don't know what Brentford's going to turn up. You know, they are confident, you know, so it's an hard one to call, isn't it? You know, it's an hard one to call. But United need to bounce back after Newcastle. Newcastle was a bad one, to be fair. Newcastle never looked troubled at all. United looked well off it. But yeah, need to bounce back tonight.
No, we certainly do. A super chat here says, random question for Steve. Where does he get his tattoos done in Manchester? Also, may the best team win. Come on, you Gooners. Where'd you get your tattoos done?
Louis Malloy, the guy that did Beckham, he done a few. And then there's a lad called Lee Janyan who he's done a few. I'm trying to give up on the tattoos, man, but I always get addicted. Once I've had one, I end up having a full sleeve.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to. It's hard not to.
Addicted tattoos, man. I tell you, you get one and you think, oh yeah, I'll just put that there or da 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 da. But all mine are all mine mean so. They're all city ones, man. Anyway, from way back, and everything means something to me. You know, I mean, I'm not into dragons and fucking unicorns and Tasmanian devils and shit like that.
Yeah, I get mine done in Manchester still. That's why I haven't finished my sleeve since lockdown started because I haven't been up there and my work life's changed so much. But I go to a place called Sharp Art Studios in Wilmslow. Where I got my first one done when I lived in Manchester, and I always go back. But it is a slog from where I live in Slurry to get a tattoo. Do you know what I mean? It's a long way. And I used to, when I was in banking, I used to visit. There's a lot of banks that have hubs in Manchester. So the way I used to work it was whenever I went to see a client, I would finish my meetings and then go and get a tattoo session and drive home afterwards or stay.
Well, I'm going to Holland next week, and I'm staying with the tattooist that did Jadon Sancho and Memphis Depay's back, the Lion. There's a girl called Linda, Tattoo Line. She's the biggest tattoo artist in Holland. She does all the players. Her husband's my business partner, so I am staying at their house. But if she's at a loose end, I might get her to get the gun out and give me a blast because she's quite expensive, you see. So to get a tattoo off her, she did Jadon Sancho. She done all the Arsenal boys and that, so she's quite good, but she's expensive.
Nice. Steve here, Gunnar Duke says, Steve, is there a player you'd take from the early Premier League era today? Go Dunn, Kinkladze, anyone from that era would make it into your team now?
Yeah, Sean Gower and that's not going to make it, and Richard Dunn, they were about the level where Georgie Kinkladze would have made it 1,000,000%. He was next level. And the only other one who was probably technically wise, I reckon, was Ali Benarbia. If anyone's never heard of Ali Benarbia, you know, didn't look like a footballer, Algerian, unbelievable guy. But yeah, Kinkladze or Ali Benarbia for me.
There we go. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's tuned into the show today. Thank you very, very much indeed. Please make sure you smash the like button before you leave and that you subscribe. Back later tonight after the Man United Brentford game. So please make sure you're tuning in, rivals or not. I know if Man United win, most of you won't turn up because you don't like seeing me happy. It's a very weird relationship that we have. If we lose, you'll all be there, I'm sure. But it'd be great if you turn up anyway. Steve, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend.
Can I just say one thing as well? There's a few people who ask where they can find my channel. So at Big Steve MCFC on YouTube, if you head over there and keep it nice, no abuse, then we'll all get on fine.
That's it, no abuse. Listen, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you. Sorry, I did